Hey everybody, we're back seeking a path. I got the crew here today. I'm like looking at this board and everybody is pretty close to me, so it's kind of a hangout day for me.
It's the Mars Club. It's the Mars Club.
Mars Club. So we recently had Marc on, and he's back, but he's back for a reason. So I invited Randy. I invited Marc. I actually invited Joe Gatea and Tim. I can't talk today. Joe Gatea and Tim Tokars, but they had other commitments. They couldn't come on. But we want to help them with their summit that they have coming up. So you guys you're calling it the JKD Summit, but it's much more than that, right? I got the crew here today. I'm like looking at this board and everybody is pretty close to me, so it's kind of a hangout day for me.
It's the Mars Club. It's the Mars Club.
Mars Club. So we recently had Marc on, and he's back, but he's back for a reason. So I invited Randy. I invited Marc. I actually invited Joe Gatea and Tim. I can't talk today. Joe Gatea and Tim Tokars, but they had other commitments. They couldn't come on, but we want to help them with their summit that they have coming up. So you guys you're calling it the JKD Summit, but it's much more than that, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think we all know as JKD practitioners that the art is never complete and our own personal journeys are never complete. So you have to look at other systems that help complement or augment yourself as a martial artist. So we have other arts that we know have been kind of brother or sister arts to JKD being taught by, all of our instructor, Guru Asano. He invites in a lot of different types of instructors. And you look at the comparisons of those systems and you look at what's similar, you look at what's different, you look at how you can, training that system can benefit you. So we already know JKD-Kali and Silat kind of go hand in hand. They are their own systems, they stand on their own, but there's something each art can lend to the other, whether in principle or technique, philosophy, something along those lines. So there are elements of that. There's going to be MMA being covered there. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is a common grappling system, but we're going to have JKD style grappling there as well. So there's a lot of good things that we're going to cover, but everything has to correlate back to a Jkd principle, the way it's being taught, a sense of functionalization, or at least a development to become functional, whether the technique may not be functional itself, but at least developing an attribute or a concept you can carry.
So you just it's going to be a mash of everything, kind of what we always do. It's not going to be just straight up Jun Fang Gung Fu being taught.
Right. Exactly. There's a lot of it being covered. Like every day, there's at least one or two JKD sessions, right. And then another art will be covered as well.
So Randy, for our audience, when you say JKD grappling, can you explain that?
Sure. I think we understand that Jeet Kune Do was looking, at least Bruce Lee was looking at grappling when, before he passed away, and looking at the ground game. But I don't think there was a system of development that he had. He just knew grappling was excellent for conditioning, and he had some wrestling moves, right? Neck cranks, things along those lines. And he even had a crucifix, like arm wrench in Enter the Dragon that he liked to show off. And if there's anything we know about Bruce Lee, he did want to bring JKD to the screen in some way. There was some evolution beyond that. Bruce Lee passed away too soon, but we know that there was influence from Larry Hartzell. So I think, and I've had some of that training. And I think some of the quick grappling moves, we see that there's some components of catch. And this is just personal things that people will pick up over time. What are the quick grappling techniques you can do? And some people circle back to it now, as you see, they call it evil techniques. And people are rolling in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are the quick wrist cranks, quick, toe holds and things like that were effective and used in JKD. So, but there's a transition too, not just, where that may have been a component in time. We can see how a lot of JKD practitioners have looked at things like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or catch wrestling to develop their grappling game and implemented that. And I also have some Shudo training under, Ron. So I think there's some elements of things that we'll see play into what can you do here, and without really having to label it. Like I'm going into Shudo mode, and now I'm going into catch mode, and now I'm going
Yeah.
into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mode. I think trying to label it like that just makes things complex. So it's just, for us, it's grappling, things that'll be functional, more from a self-defense perspective. But with the instructors that we have, I love Tim Tokars, I love Joe Goitia. What they offer is fighter development training. They've put people in the ring, they've taken what they understand as, self-defense, and say, well, you can't do this in the ring, but you can do part of this. Okay, there's mobility there, there's positioning there. You just can't thumb them in the eye, or something like that. So I think those are really great things that we're bringing into the summit, that you have people who have developed, championship fighters.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I know Ron, watching Ron for all the years I've known him and myself and a lot of other practitioners. I personally been exposed to a lot of different jujitsu systems, but I just don't like anything with a gi. I like no gi. I want to think that anything that I can use, I can use on the street. And so
Right.
I think I kind of see a lot of people who practice it, or they stay away. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they stay away from a lot of kind of gi technique training. And it's more like, no gi. What do you think, Ron? With your experiences?
I think gi has its place, but I mean, you can't be bound by it. I've quite honestly, man, I'm horrible in a gi. Guys catch me, and it depends, like, on the kimono. I've grabbed some guys and I grabbed their gi and they got a good Howard kimono, and you can't hold that thing. I don't know if you guys have how much you've played in
Like
gi.
real stiff collar.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, you grab it and you're like,
grabbing a board.
I've got nothing, And then me, I had my stupid judo gi on, and they're like, and I'm like handcuffed, I'm locked. It's got its place. It does, but I don't think that. I think any good MMA or not MMA, any good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stylist or any good judo stylist should know his craft in and out of the jacket. But if you're in the streets of Chicago and it's dead winter, the kimono technique might play out for you. So it's got its place. It's just I'm not good with it. I'm not. And
I know you have a couple of stories about grappling where somebody might use a gi principle or gi type grips on like a flimsy t-shirt, right? And just shred those shirts. Yeah.
Countless seminars. I'm like, don't tear my shirt. And I'm like, oh, so yeah. Everybody's trying to get me, and get the lapel, and I'm like, I know that I ruined my shirt. And I like this.
Well, I think as a practitioner in the arts that we all train in, we get exposed to so many that you have a finite time to kind of train in each one. So that's why I said, well, God, if I start learning all the gi techniques, I mean, I got enough stuff to have to memorize and teach that I got to go do. I try to get to this. I got to simplify for my students. So what's effective for them right now that they can learn. And that's kind of how I put my system together.
I think just like anything else, we should have a common knowledge of it. Just because we're not good at it, we don't like it. I know a lot of people who hate footwork, kind of a must, isn't it? So we should have some knowledge of the gi and how it operates. It doesn't mean you got to do it all the time, but every once in a while, like we'd be at the in Asano Academy, and Guru Dan would say, hey, next week, come on in with dress clothes. And we had to have regular jeans on, and you got to kick and grapple, and
it feels different, and you move different. And
he would tell women, wear shorts, but put a dress on. And if something happens, you got that dress on, got to fight, So we didn't do the shoes too much, but that's even a consideration because you don't want to ruin the mats or whatever the school. But it's all factors, and you should acclimate yourself to it because it's just forewarned forearmed. What's it like to kick if you're in a dress for women or in tight jeans for a guy?
Well, Larry puts his dress on once in a while, don't you, Larry?
Probably in it right now.
I prefer to train in shoes.
Yeah.
I prefer shoes.
Do you make people come in dress clothes, Mark, at all?
We've done it before. I have done it before. I've had people bring in newspapers and taught them how to fight with newspapers.
So, well, one thing I wanted, because I want Mark to talk a little bit about this, was, when I started thinking about the instructors that I would bring in to teach different things, and I've been training with Marc Halleck since 2011. I met you in 2010, Ron, and I knew I needed that local training. So I was doing a lot of private lessons with Mark, and I was learning mainly Kali, but I would get some nuggets of C-Lot from him. So I'm like, you know what? I want Mark to come in and show his C-Lot and offer not just, you know, the entries and stuff that C-Lot's very good at, but some of the grappling. You know, I like the non-committed grappling components of it. So Mark, you want to talk a little bit about that?
But before he goes,
Oh.
talk about an art that gets a bad rap, C-Lot. And I think
It
it's because of
does.
the way we train it. People don't understand the little pieces of gold in there. Go, Mark.
Well, hold on, Randy. Did you train any guitar lessons with him? Mark, give us a little show. Show us what you got back there, man. Look, check this
Wait,
out.
all right, now move the camera, Mark. Show your
Show
back.
him, Mark. Show him what you got back there. I'm
All you
envious of
Steve's
that.
out there who want guitars.
It looks like a damn music store. Did he sell guitar store in there? Man, look at that. And all those amps and how many guitars do you own?
9.
9.
Just 9?
Just 9.
I know.
I have 3.
All right, well, let's get back on C-Lot. Mark, tell us about it.
So, you know, as far as C-Lot goes and it getting a bad rap, I totally agree. And I think it's because a lot of the ways it's almost set up like a kata or a form where you step and you punch with the right, almost like a middle punch. And, you know, I think people look at that hokey. So that's kind of why I came up with my Pentateuch and C-Lot. So I figured, let's make it more combative. Let's enter with Pentateuch with all the punches, elbows, this, that, and then get into our C-Lot throws, sweeps, and grappling. So it's gone over really well, but I think, you know, and I still add in a lot of the traditional stuff, but I try to make it, how could we do this from a jab cross hook? How can we do this from boxing? How can I do this on the street to someone and not do all these, you know, jurus and this and that and just go? So that's kind of my idea.
It kind of reminds me of like if you watch Aikido, which I love Aikido. I have a lot of friends in it. I dabble in it. But when you see them running at you just with the punch, you know, and you're like, no one's going to attack you that way. You know, in capoeira, people are like, yeah, there's no hands in it. And if you meet real good capoeira guys, like I trained with Master Boneco from Brazil, and I'll say, you know, there's really no hands. And he looked at me, he's like, there's hands. And I go, you know, and he goes, look, the land of the blind, the one-eyed man's king. It's got it. They emphasize in the leg work, but he goes, we have hands, and he does do hand work. He goes, but it's just not our emphasis for the art. And because little story about him real quick, and I don't know how well, I don't want to stray off our topic too much, but I was at the Inasano Academy one time taking a class, Diana and I were, I think even Guru was in the class, and some guy came in for the class and he got a little rude, and it ended up being a fight. And all of a sudden I was seeing a lot of hands, and I got to actually watch a capoeira fight with, you know, and they were going for it, and there were hands, and, you know, and I don't think it was Western boxing. He was doing his thing, but he had it. Anyway, C-Lot, go.
So anyway, so that's where I want to take it. And I want to show people that, you know, there are ways to use these C-Lot sweeps. There are ways to use Sapu Dalam, Sapu Luar, Kenjit, you know, Puder. But then I want to show counters to all those as well, because people think once you're in them, you're done. And, you know, there's counters to counters to counters. So I want to tap on some counters, which I don't think people do a lot. How to get out of a Puder Kapala and reverse it, how to get out of a Sapu Dalam, or what to do when you get a shitty partner, when you do your Sapu Dalam and they just lift their leg, you know, and don't let you do the sweep. So how to reverse that on them and stuff.
Well, I have answers for that. It's just kick them and show them what it is.
Yeah.
Or hurt them. But, and I try to explain it politely. And if they don't get it, I finally just get, you know, my patience level. I know. Like, well, here, feel this. And
I know. I've been on the receiving end of that.
Yeah. You know, you ever see the website Bullshito? Your guys ever go on there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they show somebody from Paul Dutoit's group, and I know who it is, but he's doing the leg sectors where he's turning and he's doing the pats and the leg weave, and people are like, bullshit, you're never going to get that. And a lot of people just don't understand what he's doing. And it's not that he's being combative at that point. It's a drill to teach leg sectors. If you fall into, you guys have been through that with me. I'll tell you, because of that video, it changed the way that I teach it. Because, you know, I've done stuff that people call BS. Everybody's got stuff. And, you know, it goes back to my thing at seminars, and you guys been through it. Guru Dan would jump rope in front of me, or like act like he's jumping rope, because we jump rope for conditioning. When I get in the ring, I don't sit there in front of you going, "Come on, Ron, let's fight." It's something to enhance what I do, to behoove me. And the same thing with leg sectors is, we say, oh, you could go this sector if you land here. If not, you go put your hands this way. If it's here, if you turn this way, you got to put your hand here, and to get the leg weaves. And that's all that is. And that's what he was doing. But people don't understand. So they call BS to it, and then it goes back to the land of the blind.
Well, let me give you an
Right.
example of that. Right. Years and years ago when I was in Hilton Head Island, and you remember Rick McElroy, right?
Yep.
He trained with Soke Kunabab, and I had the pleasure of meeting him and watching him. And we did a demo before a tournament. And, I was telling Rick, why do you train with that? You're doing the Filipino arts. Why are you like blocking and punching and doing that? And he goes, yeah, but Soke Kunabab, listen, watch him do it. He doesn't do that. I mean, he'll teach the katas like that, but when you watch him, it looks like he's doing the Filipino arts, right? Because he says, I show this, right, like this, but I do this, right? And he's doing like goontings and hitting it, right? So it's like, but people's perception, if they look at it, go, oh, it doesn't work. But I watched him, I go, gosh, he's amazing, fast, and he was doing destruction. So I think it's like the masters are like breaking it down for the lay person, real simple, but the masters, they train like the kind of systems we do, right? But people don't see that, right? I was like ignorant about it too, thinking, Rick, why are you doing that, man? You're learning the good stuff now. He goes, watch Soke Kunabab, right?
We all poo-poo the reverse punches and stuff, but I've gotten hit with them. I spar Simon Ree, and he'll do it to me. And he's got that timing. He knows it. And I mean, he knows box everything, but he like he'll go into the wham. I'm like, damn it, just got me with a reverse punch. Those aren't supposed to work, but he knows how to make them work. If you believe it'll work, it'll work. You got to believe in it though, right? If you think it'll work, you're correct.
I think kind of with what you guys are talking about with the summit that you're having, it's we have a kids program, and so we teach them a little bit of everything. One of the things we do teach them is traditional forms, because they're shorter. They get their positions, the stance work, the focus, everything, right? But then as they start to progress up the belt levels, we make them apply it, right? So we're like, well, what are you doing? They're like, oh, it's a down block. I was like, what else are you doing? You got to show me 6 applications to pass the test on just the down block motion. Now all of a sudden we start grabbing their elbow and it looks like who, bud, and they start doing these motions and their eyes are just like wide open. They're seeing that it's more than just a reverse punch or more than just a down block, and it does. It looks like the arts that we already do. It looks like Kali. It looks like JKD. It looks like Sila,
Well, Larry, I think what you just said is a good segment to talk a little bit about now, is like, why is it that when we teach Jikundo or we teach Kali or Sila, why aren't they, you'd think they'd be huge schools, right? You think people would just be dying to learn this knowledge. Why is it, compared to say Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu or MMA schools, why is it we kind of fall behind,
It's not mainstream at all. It's not the flavor, it's not Taekwondo, karate. Most people honestly have never heard Jikundo. Even people who come into my school looking for classes, I say, are you interested in Jikundo? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of sad that it's not in the forefront how it should be. And I think that's because, it's mainly Guru Inasano only, like he's the head guy. But I think, I don't know, it's not mainstream and people do not know it.
We all have our theory. It goes into, some people say ranking because they didn't use belts. Everybody thought belts were the standards. They say it's because magazines, because after the Bruce Lee kind of foundation took over, they stopped the magazines from putting Bruce Lee on the cover, and that they think that it, because Bruce Lee was on more covers. Like the number 2 man is now the number 1. You know who the number 1 person in the world to be on the covers of trade magazines are? Jimi Hendrix. It used to be Bruce Lee. And a lot of that changed. So they went, okay. So they went to Jackie Chan for a while, and then MMA came in, went to the Gracies and whoever else, that got popular. And I think it lost a lot of its oomph. Then with the advent of the UFC, everybody bases that on, oh, this is real martial arts,
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is a lot of what they're doing is what Bruce Lee and Asano were doing. you know? And I mean, obviously there's new influences, new training coming in, but I mean, you know, you think about early years of Jkd, they were not wearing gis. They were working out to music, you know, they just kind of really tried to excel. They brought in pad work where other arts weren't really doing it. You know, like the tackling shield came from Minnesota because of Amos Alonzo Stagg, because he bringing in the football shield, and you know, Bruce Lee seen it and Asano introduced it to him, and he's like, I like it. So, you know, a lot of people say you don't see JKD guys in the ring now, and I say you do. Josh Barnett, he's JKD. Eric Paulson was, you know, I mean, you know, there's so many. If you even look at current fighters now, Rose, she's training with Greg Nelson. I see those guys. Go look it up. They're doing.
She's doing Huba training,
right?
And
but it's JKD. People say Hubad's not JKD. It's Filipino.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is there. You know, are we talking Jun Fan or are we talking Jkd? Because that's different animals too. Are you guys should go into that. I would appreciate it if somebody in your summit went into a bit of the history and the philosophy. And JKD is a philosophy. It's not an art. There are no set patterns. It's, you know, to me, it's I wrote the book, Principles of a Complete Fighter. People are like, that's pretty, you know, bold to say principles. Who'd we lose? We lost Mark.
We lost
It's
Mark.
Solar. He said the solar might go out. So you know, and what I'm saying is it's to find the weakness within yourself and get better. And you know, Randy, what kind of arm bar do you do?
Oh, that's easy.
Is
Ron
it
Balicki arm bar.
Is it a yeah? It better be good answer. No, but is it a Brazilian arm bar? Is it a shoot arm bar? You know, you can't say where the influence is, and sometimes you'll do it maybe the way the first person who showed you, and you'll go, yeah, it works great here. But then some guy will twist, and you'll go, oh, somebody showed me if they do that, I could do this. So all of a sudden you're slipping into something else, and you know, who's to say what's what? And that's the beauty of us, you know, like in this JKD world that we've built.
Well, I think partly why we don't grow as like Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu is because we're not organized. I think if we were organized and we were all got together as a group, because that's why the Taekwondo groups, they have organizations. So they got it. They're marketing, they're advertising. If we all came together,
that's totally
if we came together and organized and then did some ads and start promoting it, I think we get the word out. And
we're doing that now.
Yes, we're doing it through Mars Online, right?
Yeah, right. And Cliff, totally on point with that. When you think about having an organization that can actually steer the ship, not everybody knows how to lead an organization, so they're going to be just part of it in the support. But you'll have some really good people who can take an organization in a great direction, figure out how to unite people, and then they have marketing and promotions. And that's a key thing. You're bombarded. You see schools constantly on the corner. I mean, you take a JKD guy who's a good fighter, okay, go run a school. He may fail in all likelihood to anybody. It could be any art that doesn't have an organization backing them or have mentors or have experience, business sense, you know? So it's a challenge even for people who do have business sense to try and just keep up with, you know, a school opening up on every other corner. You know, there's more schools now, definitely, than from when I started 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think we're a lot of us are school owners and involved in our organization. We could, on Mars Online, we can actually, you know, give that to our members, teach them again how like you got the art. Here's how you're going to open your school. Here's how you're going to deal with your landlord and get the best rate. Here's our ad slicks that we put together and really kind of help. I think Mars Online is beyond just instruction, but it will be basically a platform to help people propel their schools and really develop this so we can finally be organized for once, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a great thing to offer people. And I did an interview with Dwight Woods, what is that, a year ago or something like that.
Yeah, we don't
talk
talk about
funny
him on our show, okay?
Well, I think he'll be on soon or something, maybe. But it was so funny when I phrased the question to him. I said, because we were talking about why Jkd is not well known, you know, as far as when people hear the term, they don't associate that with Bruce Lee. It happened to me too when I first started. I didn't know what JKD was, what a Jkd was. To me, it was Taekwondo, karate, kung fu. That's all I knew. But when he said, well, why, why do you think this isn't happening? I go, well, you know whose fault it is? And we paused and I said, it's your fault. And he seemed so shocked. He's like, ah. I said, well, it's really all of the JKD instructor's fault in a way, because what can happen to somebody is because it's not popular, you hide it behind another art that might be popular at the time, or you kind of just start to set it to the side. I'm not saying everybody does it. So,
You gotta pay the bills though. I can see them going,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
If you're going to sit there and try to teach in a way that is just not speaking to your audience, then you won't connect. That's just how that's going to be. So you have to, I mean, we have kickboxing. Why don't you just take Jun Fan and create a kickboxing class and don't even talk about now tech and jig tech? You say straight kick, round kick, good. You're putting a combination together, and that helps push the art a little further. I just think some people, from what I've seen, either they're afraid that maybe they're not certified instructor. Okay. And there's a lot to be said about that. You're not certified. It doesn't mean you can't teach. It doesn't mean you can't present the art to people. If you've had good training with good people. So what, you didn't get certified. But they go, well, I'm not certified, I'm not going to call it Jkd. But it could help the art and the system, or help the message, if you will.
I do like schools a lot that do, like, I'll look at the doors or the windows and they'll say, we offer bump, 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 bump. And I think they need to,
Yes.
I like the academy, and I take academy as like a regular school approach to where they'll teach English, science, math, whatever. Why can't we offer judo, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo,
Sure.
karate, Jkd?
Right.
I offer
Yes.
a jiu-jitsu program as a side thing, but it's not my main thing. I've never like hid behind, like Randy was saying, like other arts in my school to get people to Jkd. My school's always been Jkd, but I wanted to name it like, Jkd this or North Shore Kali, but I wanted to keep it incognito so people would have to come in and see what we're teaching and not just drive by and be like, oh, I've never heard of that. So, and then I've tried to add in, I've supplemented a bunch of times, and I got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy in there now teaching, but the school is mainly Jkd. And
well, that's an academy, Mark. That's why you're an academy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great. It should. And I know that some, like some people say, well, people don't like sticks here. We don't do well with that. I think that you don't do well with that, because if like, it's infectious. If you're showing stuff and you like it, people tend to go. And I just see personalities coming, and that's fine if you don't want to do sticks. But like, I'll tell people, we used to do more JKD. Oh, well, JKD doesn't do good here, so we do more Muay Thai. And I'm like, okay, and I just think teach it with the zest that you teach everything, and I think that you're going to get an audience.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the general public, and when I opened my school in 1993, and I got with Fred Dagerberg, and he said, join DFC, and like in 2 years, I came up to about 480 students, right?
Wow.
You know what I advertised? My karate, kung fu, right? That's what was on there. And once they came in, they got the experience, because that's all they know. I mean, if I had put Kali on there or something, they go, it's like, what is that, right? So I used and even Fred said, use karate out there. And then he went to gis. Remember, he had no gis, and he started wearing gis because that's what the people identify with. And then my job was to now introduce them to Kali and Jkd once they're in, because they wouldn't understand. I would like to see, though, before I die, that we are organized and people could go, oh, there's a Jkd school, I want to go there, right? Or they see the Kali but I think we all have to be organized, be part of something big, and say, hey, let's do this together and let's get the word out, instead of.
Well, the problem is no one's organized. Everyone's running amok. There's no standard in Jkd. There's no standard by anyone. So people are just running amok and trying to learn, and there's no standard.
You know what though? I remember Cliff, do you remember this at the old Inasano Academy? There was that plaque on the wall, and it said, the truth in Jkd lies behind this door.
Yeah.
You open the door and it was a little mirror.
Right. Yeah.
It starts with you, starts with us. I mean, sooner or later, you're going to be the man. You guys are right here. You know, I want Grudan to live forever, and does he retire? If he retires, or if we, God forbid, lose him, we're the guys, and we have to push this, you know. And he pushed it for his time. Think of the obstacles Inosanto was faced with after Bruce Lee's passing, or even any of the other guys, you know, like, you know, be it like they were Original or Nucleus or whatever at that time. It's an enormous burden, you know. And I know there's the Bruce Lee draw. Everybody sees movies and they're like, yeah, what, you know, and but then it's to show what this thing really is, you know, and to show, no, it's just not a movie thing, that there actually is a lot to this art. And you know, it's going to go back to the ring, the phone calls. Remember those, Cliff, with EFC? Because I was at schools and I've watched people say, no, we don't teach Taekwondo. Sorry. And they have, I go, you just hung up on a potential customer. You know, a lot of times they don't know what they want. They hear a name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just a generic name. I want to learn karate. You guys do that martial arts stuff, you know, you know, and you got to go, you know, do you teach it? Well, what we teach, you know, and there was a whole explanation that you can give. Just get them in the door.
I do it.
My first response would always be, well, why are you interested in it? Oh, a friend of mine told me, right? They don't even know. A friend told me to take it. And then I go in and I bring him in. So we're getting close to at the end of our time, but I would like, this would be great to follow up sometime, Ron, you know, Larry, maybe bring back.
Let's really push this thing for you before we do finish this off. All right. So the dates again are, and times.
It's October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that's going to be 4 sessions with a 1-hour lunch break.
Location?
It is at Goitia's Martial Arts, which is across from Midway Airport. So it's south side of Chicago.
Yeah. So you're not going to be outside in the snow.
No.
Or rain.
And how does one register for it?
And the link is just wolfmartialarts.net and Chicago. So CJKD 2021.
Okay.
But I'll get you the link, and you guys could just, if you just throw it in, you know, whatever.
Yeah, most definitely. Outside of, I don't want, you get those people, I don't want just JKD. It's not. It's going to be more.
There's something for everyone.
It's a JKD philosophy. You have Junfan classes along with along with Kali, maybe shoot, Thai, or
Muay Thai, things like that, so that everyone can get exposure to all the systems. And again, I'd say on a final note, the whole reason for this, I've been in Chicago all 30 years. Ron, you grew up here. I still feel to this day that there's a lack of community and brotherhood surrounding JKD. And I want to try and start moving it in the right direction. I'm not saying this summit's going to solve it, but I think people will know, hey, come train with us.
Well,
and
I think they're going to
from you
influences coming together, and
absolutely.
And it's big, you know. I mean, you know, the big fish in the pond, big deal. You know, that gets me too, is like, I'll see so many people go, that guy's good, but I train with him. And I'm like, they're doing the same stuff we're doing. They're not doing it any better. It's personalities. And if you see, like, what I want in an instructor is somebody who really cares about making sure I have the material at the end of the day. That's my need. And obviously I want to make sure they understand the material. And I know all 4 of you guys. And is there anybody else teaching outside of the 4 of you?
No, just us 4.
Okay.
For this one.
Yeah. And all you guys rock, you know, I mean, you're all solid individuals. People can get a lot of info out of you. So
I'm looking forward to training with Joe, Tim, and Randy. So it should be a great time.
Yeah.
And
Joe's
that's
got
the
a
other
lot of
thing
history people don't realize. Joe Gutierrez. You know, I mean,
right. He's low key about it. He doesn't blast it out there, but you sit and talk with him and you're just blown away by the people he's interacted with and all the training he had in the early, late 80s.
Yeah,
or throughout the 80s, I should say.
What was that? What was that TV show where the 2 guys would travel and they would go to different countries and
it's like Fight Quest or something like that. One of
those guys is Joe's guys.
Yeah, and he did the motion capture, all the motion capture you see of the martial arts kick or elbow or something. He was in the studio doing the motion capture stuff for that. And even, what was that movie, Limitless or something, when he took the pill and also you see that motion capture where they do the CGI martial artists. That was Joe. It was
right,
really interesting because he's like, I did that. So
We're gonna bring this to a wrap because Mark's got his guys there. He's got
all
to
right.
find out those workers. So thanks again, and maybe we can pick this up another
Thank you
time and
guys so
talk a
much.
bit more about the
Thanks.
whole JKD and organization.
And good luck. Let us know. Make sure you get me that info, and I'm going to tack it to this. And everybody, go. If
Yes.
you're in the Chicago, Indiana, Wisconsin area, get there. It's a good time. A lot of good training. They'll spell it out for you. They're my go-to guys in Illinois. They got the curriculum down. So, all right.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Best of luck,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Take care.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Honda
Take
forever.
care.
All right.